Okay. Hello everybody. I'm one guy behind the 6 Evolution. It is a 6 Spectrum clone which is with us for 16 years. So, what is it about? Some of you heard about it and some used it, but anyway, it is a ZX Spectrum clone. It is also here in that corner. So it has some advanced features. First of all, it's a board PCB, not a finished case with keyboard. But you can install it into any standard mini ITX, micro ATX case, and so on. There's quite a set of modern peripherals, like PS2 keyboard and mouse. It is fully open source and open hardware. It means that you can download all the files and send an order to the PCB company, get all components and solder it yourself. Also, all software, firmware is also free. Then it has a true, real, hard Z80 and YM2149 chips, unlike some, they expect from Next or whatever. So, that's it. A bit about me and our team. Our team was founded in 2003. I joined like in 2007 or something like that. It's not like a demo scene group, it's more like hardware enthusiast groups, retro computer hardware people and so on. Yeah, okay, you can see me on some of those photos. Yeah, so and also you can distinguish me by this T-shirt. Yeah, so we started like planning and inventing it in 2008 or something like that, and then in 2009, in 2009 we had the first developer version. It's to the left. Then the next revision, we started to sell next revision, and after a while there was a revision C, which you've seen on the first slide, like a red one. It was a bit smaller. And currently, they don't sell it, don't solder it anymore, but there are some independent manufacturers, and you could order from them if you want to. Yeah. Something about its features, each hardware features. Yes, Z80, running up to 14 MHz, 4 megabytes of RAM, half megabyte of ROM. There is also ZX bus slots. You see they're like quite mirrored to what we have in the original spec is, but you have no way to connect several peripherals if we would have an edge connector. Here we can connect 2, and in revision B3. Yeah, then the power supply used is a standard ATX connection. Yeah. Or there is also a Molex connector, and you need to supply like +5 and +12 volts. Yeah, in the middle of the board there is an FPGA. It basically serves as a glue logic between everything and also implements like ULA compatibility and so on. Basically everything, but not the sound chip, not the floppy drive, and not the Z80 itself. Then yeah, I've said before there is a PS2 keyboard and mouse ports. Yeah. It's quite modern today. Yeah, then the floppy disk controller, which is TR-DOS compatible. It's a disk system that was popular in Russia and the Soviet Union. Yeah, exactly this one. Then there is an IDE connector for hard drives, and SD card is on board. There is also serial port. And you can even connect a printer through the UI interface. Yeah, there is a video output, which is represented as VGA connector, but it is also able to emit a TV timings. For that, you of course need like VGA to SCART special cable, but anyway it works. For VGA, we use scan doubling, basically doubling every line 2 times. Yeah. Of course, there is an AY chip or YM, whatever you like more. There is of course a beeper and even clocks. There is a tape in, tape out, but well, tape out is merged with a normal sound because we got out of pins on the FPGA. Yes, you can also connect a real 40K ZX keyboard if you ever happen to find one. Also a Kempston joystick, 5-bit one, like older one. Somewhere there, the connectors somewhere there. It's like a pin connectors to the right, somewhere to the right. Yeah, they are not on the back panel. And finally, there is a real-time clock with a battery. So, something like that. Yes, and since we have an FPGA and also a housekeeping MCU, we need a firmware for the MCU and some bitstream for FPGA. Bitstream is saved within the firmware, and this all together called the configuration, because you can change it. Like reflash the MCU and you have different configuration. So far we have several ones. First one is baseconf, it was made by us. The second one is tsconf. It is more focused on having like hardware sprites, hardware tiles, and less on having features of the spectrum. There is also a merged configuration which lets you switch between two of them. And as a joke, there is a 3D texture mapper configuration which runs a cube over the normal ZX screen. You can have a look at the code. There is a YouTube video. Yes. Next. Yeah, what we support in our configuration. Basically, it's of course pentagon timings, but also we emulate the timings of ZX Spectrum 48K and 128K. That includes memory contention, which is of course now fake, because we don't need it really. We just emulate all the weights. Yeah. Then we have a standard video mode, of course, and in addition to that, there is like a hardware multicolor mode. It's when every byte has its own attribute byte. So you can have like not a character 8x8, but 8x1. There are also some kind of extended modes like high resolution, hardware multicolor, 16 colors per pixel, and text mode. Yeah, and the picture, the black picture you see here is actually how it looks when you turn it on or press reset. It's like a EO reset service. From there you can go to the basic or to TRNAVA directly. You can browse the file system on your SD card, and then you can mount disk image, and then you can immediately run the software from it. There is also a lot of other options, including compatibility options to the left. You can also, and also of course that piece of software can update itself in the flash from SD card. Yeah, but it's just normal. Well, we have quite a lot of software. Of course, the majority of links here are just normal ZX Spectrum software, which runs perfectly, almost. But there are some games also for extended modes, like this one. Yes, there is a SDK library which could help you. Sorry, it could help you create like games. It's a C-based SDK library. And most important for me is now there are several, two of them, OSs, which like not for a standard ZX Spectrum, but for our ZX solution. Let's see through them. First one is called NedoOS. It was developed something like 2018. The development started. Yeah, and what it can do. Of course, it has a normal access to the block devices with a fat system on it. Then it has kind of preemptive multitasking, quite limited, you know, only 16 tasks, but better than nothing. And most important, For every application, the whole address range, almost the whole address range is accessible. And in addition to that, of course, not possible on normal spectrum because you have ROM. And in addition to it, there are 4 memory windows, 16K each, and you can switch any rail into any window. So basically, single app could use up to 4 megabytes of memory. It runs not only on the ZX Evolution, also on a clone from 90s called ATM Turbo, and some other clone, Pentagon 2.666. It supports mouse, SD cards, hard drives, real-time clocks, and even network, and it's quite limited USB, but about it soon. It's about hardware, it will be about hardware. Here, what we have there as an application, there are like basic apps like shell interpreter, or kind of, some basic utilities like archivers, unzipper, unravel, some advanced apps like editors, music players. There is of course 2-channel file commander. You see it here, 2-panel, just like a clone of Norton Commander or whatever. There are like, we have also ported BDSC, BDS, yeah, the third letter is important. Yeah, it's ported from CPM, but it's quite a toy language. The last 3 ones are also more or less toy languages, basically because they are not using the whole possibility of using lots of memory in NedoPC. They are stuck to 48 or 64 keyboard. But anyway, usually we use for development, we usually use SJASM on the PC, or also IARC for the 80. So those are still tail languages, but it's like our dream to have NedoPC being able to compile itself. Yeah, then we have some games. Some of them are developed specially for NedoPC, some are ported from the Spectrum gates, and that often include, like redrawing the sprites from monochrome to colored, and adding support for multitasking and so on. There is also some limited support for snapshotting the games. You can run the game and press the button on keyboard, which sends NMI to the Z80 and save a snapshot, just normal stuff. And finally, we have some net applications, starting from primitive browser, because we can support JavaScript, we can support HTTPS, but still there is something. Some clients with IRC, FTP. We also have a file server where you can access all disks from PC. I mean, in PC you go to the page which is supported by the NedoPC, and then have access to all files. Of course, NedoPC is able to update itself through the net, and we have like different stuff like AY radio player, online AY radio player. You can run it all the day long, and it will play all the new melodies. There is another OS. I don't have experience with it, honestly, but it appeared named IS-DOS sometimes in 90s, I guess, and it was running on the normal spectrums. And now it was ported to the text mode, to the extended memory. It also has quite a lot of applications, including, for example, a lot of game ported to it, but just only for loading. And for example, there is a modem terminal, text editor, all the stuff, but sorry, I have no experience with this one. I only seen it, never used. Yes, then something about hardware for the Spectrum we're also making. It's not specifically for the X Evolution. It will fit any Spectrum clone with this type of bus. I mean, when you have a slots on the main board. So first one is the ZXNet USB. It's based on the VizNet network chip, SL811 USB chip. It has also like a glue logic CPLD there, and because of that we have some advanced features like memory mapped I/O, and this could make transfer of large data somewhat faster. So as I was saying before, it has an extensive support on NedoOS. And basically on there, because it was a synergy when first we created this card, then we created driver support, and then applications start to emerge. Know how it happened. But it should work in any clone with bus. The next one is quite an old one. It's called NeoJS, where JS stands for General Sound. And General Sound was a soundboard also for this kind of ZX bus, invented somewhere in the 90s. And basically it was like a standalone Z80 machine with its own memory, and it was playing 4-channel Amiga modes, like independently of main CPU. So here we improved over it. Now we have 8 channels. Again, 4 megabytes of RAM, faster Z80, like 24 megahertz. We also added an IC, which does MP3 decoding. So you now can hear MP3 on your spec. What else? SD card to load those MP3 files. Again, we have a memory mapped I/O to get some speed. Yeah, there is also a list of software that's supporting it. It is of course supported in NedoPC, including the sharing of the SD card slot. And yeah, there is a funny example, because you see how fast the 80 is there. There is a demo, which is also shared on Poet, which basically uses this card to render video effects. You can have a look at the Poet, there is a YouTube video. Yes, then this is our recent development. It is a Turbo Sound FM Pro, and it's not solely for the spectrums. It would fit any computer which have 40-pin AY or YM chip. It is connected through this cable instead of the AY or YM chip, and yeah, it doesn't require spectrum. So you can try it on Atari ST. It has been successfully tested in BK0011M computer, if you heard about that. So you could try. What it has, there are 2 YM2203 chips. Each one has a full implementation of normal PSG, which you find at Spectrum or Atari ST, plus 3 channels of FM synthesis. So now you have 6 PSG channels and 6 FM channels in those 2 chips. In addition, there is also SAA 1099, as found at some COOP or don't know where else. So now you have 12 PSG channels plus some FM channels. Yeah, and it's platform independent. There are also some software, but the only problem that TFM's Music Maker was the tracker for the FM part, but now the sources, the author who made it lost all the source and can't upgrade it anymore. And everything else is quite alive. There are a lot of music exported from some COOP, I guess. Yes. So that's basically all regarding hardware, evolution, and any other devices. Now, something about emulation. Yeah, basically, there are a lot of the Spectrum emulators, but for emulation of evolution, particularly base configuration, our own, we are now maintaining our own branch of the Unreal Speccy branch. There are also some emulators like main. As far as I know, it includes now support for baseconf, and there is some emulator, I don't know how to spell it, ZSRX maybe. It only emulates tsconf, as far as I know. So that's it. Yeah, some community links. We have a main site with all information about the solution. We have a repo with all the sources, including the hardware, the schematics, the PCBs. There is a link to the current manufacturer of this DX Evolution. He is completely independent. We don't get any money from him. Of course, there is a Telegram chat, Telegram channels, YouTube channels, whatever. DX Evolution is usually used as demo machine on the majority of those parties to the right. Or if it is not used as demo machine, at least it usually presents there. And finally, now it's present from the FOReVER party. In that corner, you can come and have a look. Yeah, and even there is a single retro hardware museum which now has the evolution on exposition. So something like that. And I guess now I'm finished. So this is a screenshot from the texture mapper configuration. There's more on Poet on it. Yeah. Now you can ask me the questions. You mean about this version or the older, which was named just Turbo Sound? It just improved it over Turbo Sound. Maybe better will talk in the microphone.
No, I just wanted to ask if you have some more information about it, because it's not standard in Pentable. So, yeah.
Yes, it's not standard in Pentable because Pentable has only a single chip, but it is kind of standard since the time when the Turbo Sound was supported in ZX Next. But there were like 3 chips simulated. Here we have only 2, but we have FM part. In ZX Next there are only 2 and no FM. So it's kind of standard, I guess. Anybody else?
Are you developing new features for the firmware, and what's the obstacles you have to? If you are developing new features for the firmware, and what obstacles do you have with the development?
Okay, I'm not like actively developing it now, but our recent feature was addition of more correct emulator of the floppy chip. It was also software emulation in the AT code, but it now includes a switch to the different ROM every time original firmware tries to access I/O ports of the floppy disk. And now, basically, what we are doing, we are creating a new revision of that board with some more features added. Oh, sorry, not this board. I mean, yeah, this board. The X evolution is probably there will be probably some more features, but yeah, the basics will be the same. Okay, no more questions, then you can come and have a look at the working, the X evolution. Thank you.